Let's get her going. My name is Brian Kale here, and there's also my email as well. Please feel free to email me any questions or anything in the future, anything you need. If I do not know the answer, I'll be happy to find it. I love doing Cub Scout stuff. I'm a Cub Scout Roundtable Commissioner, and I'm also a Cub Master. I've been one Cub Master almost 5 years now. I've been Cub Scout leader for almost 8. So been doing this for a while and have a lot of fun doing it. Allows me to be my inner boy. That's good stuff. We're going to do keep those leaders motivated. Come on in. Now, this one right here is an interesting course. I created this only about a couple years ago, and I was surprised that it wasn't actually around, because in reality, the leaders, being usually the parents that have decided to step forward, are incredibly valuable. They're like gold. I mean, they are. But yet we always seem to figure out that we can just pick it off the ground and life's good. Hey, you're fine and you'll always be fine. So congratulations, you'll be a Cub Scout leader for life. And you'll be fine, and I don't need to give you any feedback, and you'll be great. Okay, nobody can exist that way. That's just not the way it works. We need to know and keep those leaders motivated. That applies to you too. There are going to be keys in here for you as well, not as well as other leaders within your groups. Okay? So let's get going. Peyton Powell, he had a quote for everything. I tell you what. He must have been sitting around all day long just spouting off, and he had a secretary writing stuff down. Because I mean, I tell you, he has something for everything. But this is a great one. Individual step in character training, put responsibility on the individual. When he said this, he mostly was talking about the patrol method and patrol leaders. But it applies directly to adults as well. And that's the important thing. We have a lot of parents out there who have lots of capabilities, skills, hobbies, tons of opportunities to help us out in our program. But they need to be tagged and say, here's your responsibility. Here's what we need. Ask them for the sale. Okay, so let's talk about motivation for a second. Everybody knows what motivation is. I'm sure we've all taken dozens of courses of what motivates you. What's your, are you an introvert or extrovert? Are you judgment or feeling? And we've all done this kind of things, even if it's for fun. But do we really know what motivation is? It's a reason to act, your enthusiasm, reason, forces determining behavior. Okay, keep that in your mind for a second. In every single case, one of these 4 is your primary motivator. That may not be your only motivator, but it's your primary motivator. Okay? Most of us have a primary and then a couple of highlights, lower level, but we have one primary. Okay, so let's talk about it for a second. Recognition. These are the kind of people that are in it for the respect, admiration, regard, esteem. That's their kind of thing. They're looking for. Celebrity, we know a lot of people who are looking for 15 minutes of fame, right? These are not typically the traits that we're trying to create and embellish for scouting, but often we will have people who are in this room, and it doesn't mean that they're not valuable. It doesn't mean we don't want to use them. We just need to understand it. How about influence? Power, control, competition, independence, order. Those sound just like scout leaders. Yes, you will do this. No, not exactly. But we know a lot of people like this, don't we? Okay? And this is a big deal when it comes to committee and leadership meetings. Right? We don't want to admit it sometimes, but there's always a little power struggle going on. I know we should do it this way. Well, I think we should do this. No. This is the way we've always done it. Okay. That was a whole power struggle there. How about internal? Morals, duty, intellect, honor, love. These typically are a lot of the traits that as scout leaders we typically are tapping. Okay? We do this because we want to see our boys grow up as men of character. We do leadership because we want them to see having fun. But we also want to make sure that they have the ability to be creative and they have the ability to grow and be the boy, the man that they want to be. That's why we do scouting. The adventure. But it's also the learning. It's a game with a purpose. So this is where most of our volunteers fall as a general rule. But like I said, not everybody. And that doesn't mean that this is your only motivation. It probably is your primary one, at least in scouting. And then there's profit. Success, money, possession, acquisitions. Okay, these guys are typically not the ones that you're a scouter, but they're great popcorn kernels. Now, these are the good ones that are your good treasurers. And these, there are a lot of folks out there who are really, that's their motivation. They understand, and that's where they go with. Scouting, as a general rule, is not tapping into that to embellish it and make that part of our program either. But these are valuable to know. Okay? So why do we need to know this? Why do we care? Every leader puts on a tan shirt. Well, they're a leader. I don't care what your motivation is. You're here. You volunteer. And you signed the sheet, and my charter organization rep signed it, and life's good. And I got you. Right? No, we need to know what drives them. What is their success? What makes them feel good? You know, what makes them come back from work, and what makes them do their best? It's just like our kids. When you're working with your kids, each one of your kids has a different love language, right? You know, is it words of affirmation? Is it gifts? Is it acts of service? Which one is it? You know, every one of your kids has a different language, and when you know that, you raise them up and make them all the better when you are talking to them in that manner. Same thing applies with your leaders. All right, but here's something all leaders want. They want to feel appreciated. Yes, I want to feel appreciated. I want to do a great job, yes, but it sure does feel good when somebody goes, you know, Mr. Kale, thank you so much. That program went very well, and I really appreciate it. They want their time, their effort, their skills have all been seen by others and have value. They want to make a difference. If you are a scout leader and you don't want to make a difference, I'm questioning why you're a scout leader. Because you are molding these boys. You are demonstrating for them amazing character. That's what your job is. And they need to feel that their work is important. Okay? Well, they're working with boys and they're growing them up into men of character. Isn't that important enough? Yeah. But that's not all. They also need to feel that their particular job is important. That's scouting's job. What's your job? You know, if you're the Cub Master and you're putting on a program over and over, no one ever comes up and says, yeah, that was a great program. I really like that. Just doing the job. Doing the job. It's like, you know, remember we've all seen the mule that's walking around that has the carrot. And eventually the carrot's not even there. We just keep walking around in a circle doing what we did every time. And eventually the spark and the joy falls out of it and the boys see it. And it starts to dim in them as well. Alright. Motivation comes from inside, not outside. Class is over. You can't motivate anybody. Next. No. We can stimulate that inner motivation by what we do and the way we think. Okay? So, let's look at you first and your unit. This is you, the big corporate unit. Does your unit know and understand its mission? Sure, we're putting on a scout program. We are in a pack and we go camping and yeah. Seriously? I bet you if you went to a committee meeting and asked everyone to write down on a piece of paper without talking to anyone else what they thought their unit's mission was, you would get a different answer for every single person. It would be very interesting, an interesting exercise. How do you communicate? Well, we send out emails. That's great. Anything else? Well, we meet every once in a while. That's good too. Do you actually provide feedback? You do any lessons learned? You do stop, start, continue? Do you do any of these things? Depends. What's success? We don't lose any boys? Is that your success level? You got to know what these things and how are you measuring it? Okay, you're like, oh man, this sounds like a business class. I don't want to do this. It sort of is. Your job and motivation and what you want all the adult leaders to do is to provide the best program ever. That the boys are itching to come back and they want to tell their friends about it. That's the program, because when they are having fun, they're learning. Their minds are wide open and they're just taking it in like a fire hose. Oh, this is great. When they're not having fun, oh, I'm thinking about over here, there's a rock, I'm not touching you. And that's what they do. You know, when they're having fun, they really are learning. Same thing with school. When they're really having fun in an activity, they'll come home and tell you as a parent, hey, you know what we did today? We did this, 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 and this, and this. That's nice. You're like, yes, teacher got it right today, because that was awesome. I may even learn something. And have you been specific with the roles and tasks? Well, they're a den leader. They know what they do. Do they? They have den meetings. What else? It's important to know these things. Getting in the lockstep early and often makes all the difference of being able to properly motivate all the leaders, including yourself. Okay? It's all about expectation. What's the leader's job? Each leader's job is specific. Okay, well we can pull Boy Scouts' definition of what a den leader does. I've read that. It's really cool. It's not necessarily what each den leader does in a pack. Each pack has its own culture, its own flavor. So what you need to do is the pack needs to decide, what's that den leader's job? Okay? What's the duration of the assignment? Okay, this is one where usually I get a lot of laughter. My boy's a tiger, so 5 years. Not necessarily. Every single one of your jobs should have a duration. Why? Because it's good for people to know where the light at the end of the tunnel is. If you have a never-ending job, you tend to never know how to pace yourself. Oh, this is going to go on for 6 years, 5 years. Oh, fix that 5 minutes. I've got I've got 3 kids. I'm going to be here for 18 years. Oh, it's very easy. If there's no succession planning, you get to this mode where you lose your energy. And how much work will be expected? When you ask someone to volunteer, you really don't do them a service at all. Say, hey, I'd love you to be a den leader. Sure, I'd love to be a den leader. And I don't tell you how many meetings, how many hours, what kind of prep time and everything. I've done a big disservice because you're going to go, what the heck just happened to me?
Well, it's only 1 hour a week.
It's exactly right. That joke right there is it's perfect. Okay? So you get to know, you need to do a few things to keep them motivated. You got to know your volunteers, organize, communicate, delegate. We're going to go through every single one of these. Okay? And you're like, oh my gosh, here we go. Here's the bottom line. Knowing your volunteers and leaders makes all the difference in the world. They're your friends, right? We're one big family, and hopefully they're your friends because you're sharing an amazing job of helping and working with boys as they're exploring and discovering new things. It is awesome. Okay, so how about heart connections to begin with? What do you know about the other people, the other leaders in your pack? Do you know what they do for a living? How about what do they do for fun? Exactly. They just do Cub Scouts all the time. When they're not doing Cub Scouts, they just sit in the closet and hum. Exactly. They're constantly making stuff. Right, okay. What do they do, what else do they do? What else do they volunteer? You probably know how many kids they have because they typically have them all in tow. You have 4 kids. No, actually I have 5. Really? Yeah, the other one's in college. Really? You don't look that old. See, all of a sudden you don't know anything. And probably shouldn't say it that way either. But it's about knowing your volunteers and knowing what they want to do. What's their needs? What's their problems? One of your volunteers loses their job. How can you help? You're a friend. How can you help? Maybe it's something just as simple as the fact that I know that you have 2 kids and you just lost your job. We're going to make sure we get you some meals. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's, hey, I can take your resume and find something for you. Who knows? Know their name. In my pack, we have moved to every single leader has a name tag. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it's very easy to go, oh, I do that all the time. I know your face, but I got nothing. And I finally have gotten to the point in my life where I don't mind going, I should know your name. I am so sorry. Please tell me again. I've actually gotten to the point where I can do that. Otherwise it's like, hey, you, how you doing? Yeah. Who's that? Okay. It's okay. But we also do it because I want all the parents to know the leaders' names too. I don't want them to go, hey, it's that leader. Ooh. You need to know their name. Take time to talk to them. Thank them individually. It's great to say, hey, I'd like to thank all our den leaders for their service. That's good. Better than nothing, but not where you should be. Taking that time shows them that you are important. And hopefully your pack is doing the same for you. All right, communicate. Love this. This is my, we used to play a game in my den. It's called the yelling game. And the boys love it because we go and you start yelling, basically yelling, and whoever can go the longest wins. There's really nothing to it other than that. And I would always the boys want, I want to take you on, Mr. Kale. Sure, let's go. Ah! And we're sitting there for a while, and then and I'm making faces while I'm doing it, and I get them to stop because they're laughing. They're like, I win again. It's a brainless game that allows the boys just to be boys and be loud, and and have a little fun. But it's always my good communication picture. But feedback. How many times do you honestly get some real feedback? Hey, that was a great job, thank you. I got nothing from that. Do you even know what I did? Yeah. Specific deadlines. Being specific on when we have to have something done is big time important. Especially, in a Cub Scout, we have a million things going on. So it's so easy to go, hey, I need you to have the Pinewood Derby cars bought. And then I leave you alone. Bought by when? I should have told you by the November pack meeting, which is in 3 days. You know, these are the kind of things that, and all of a sudden, I mean, what are the cars? You may know. Yeah, I may know. You know, these are the kind of things that you need to have. You know, timely manner, honest feedback. If something's not happening right, it's okay. True friendship and working together is the fact that, hey, that didn't work very well. Can we do this? Can we change this? You know, we need to work on this particular aspect. And you should be open to the same kind of feedback as well. So, and brainstorming is always good. Because a pack that does the same thing every year, yes, you go, hey, why do we need to change? Every 5 years we got brand new boys. Well, that's not the way to do it. It just takes all the energy and all the creativity out of everybody. You need to be looking at it, looking for real feedback. All right? You need to conduct regular evaluations of what you're doing. I don't mean like pull out a job thing and we're going to give you, well, that's a 3 on communication to you. Your attendance is a 4. And, we're not talking about that. We are talking about coming together and actually really evaluating what's going on. And this allows that volunteer too to say basically, you know what? I seem to be losing attendance. What's going on? Okay. Well, how can we do this? Maybe I can help you and provide you some different programs. What can we do? And we need to develop and capture our lessons learned. Hey, we blew and go this year. Next year, next den does it, and they're going to start from scratch. Why? Here's the caterer we used. Here's the location we used. Here's the budget we used. Gosh, it sure is nice to build off something. Every single time we do something, we put together lessons learned, and we improve. That's how you actually improve the program. I'm not going to be there forever. My other leaders are not going to be there forever. And I'm hoping that as the pack continues to live on beyond us, they're going to continue to build and make it a better program. And they're not going to have to relearn everything that we learned the hard way. Be clear. All right? Organized. By the way, this is the game called Take Out the Trash. All you need to do this is chairs to make a line, and you've got a whole bunch of newspaper you crumple up, and blow a whistle, and both sides are throwing paper back and forth, and when you blow a whistle again, whoever has the most paper on their side loses. Also another brainless game, but the boys love it, because they're fighting, they're going against their parents. It's a great game. You notice see the smiles on the parents' face too? They like it too. Just don't let the parents cheat. They tend to cheat a lot. But you need to respect the volunteers' time. Be ready for meetings. Start on time, end on time. That applies to your meetings as well. Start on time, end on time. Someone's not there, they missed the beginning. That's the way it is. Don't reinvent the wheel. Having your goals written out, they don't have to be a goal for every single meeting. Okay, maybe it's more of a bigger goal. But knowing where you're going sure makes a big difference. It's like, Alice in Wonderland, well, which way should I go? Well, if you don't care where you're going, it really doesn't matter. It does. That's the key here. Most volunteers, their biggest complaint is the lack of respect for their time. It really is. I mean, I have just so few minutes. I want to help out, but we stood here for 15 minutes before we got started. Doesn't that drive you crazy? It drives me crazy. I'm like, I'm on the minute. This is what I got. This is what I got for you. Feedback. Talking about, where's the success? What is success? What's it look like for me? What's it look like for you? If it's drastically different, well, we got a problem. What's the unit success? Do you have any conflict in your unit? People who are just rubbing each other the wrong way? Because they're not communicating. I mean, there are certain personality types that just don't get along. But in a Cub Scout program where everyone is pointing towards the same goal of improving their children, it's usually pretty easy to get back on the same and sort of put that aside. Knowing how long it takes to do things, huge difference. If I am going to do something and it only takes 3 adults and 3 kids to do it, and I have every single adult show up, have I helped anybody? No, I have wasted a whole bunch of people's time. And everyone's standing around like, we don't all need to be here. And next time I need help, I'm not going to get it. These are important things and keep people motivated. Showing that I understand the scope of what it takes. And I am using the resources I have in an efficient manner. Don't you want that for yourself as well? Always be genuine with what you're talking about. There's no room for agendas in scouting. We're here for the boys. That's basically what it comes to. Honestly, confront is way too strong a word, but I couldn't really come up with a better word. It's not confront. It's honestly Discuss, address, whatever, but confront's too strong. But if there's an issue, communicate. If there's a problem, you need to take care of it soon. The longer it goes on, the worse it gets. We all know that. We've all been in relationships a million times. Work, volunteerism, families, they're all the same. Timely course corrections. You want everyone to grow out of their job. Well, that doesn't sound right. I just got them there. I don't want to look for another den leader. Sure you do. You want every single one of your volunteers to grow, including yourself, to grow out of that job. To grow in capability and leadership. And then have someone else use that as their stepping stone for their next thing. And you can move on. You always need something to stretch, to try a little bit more, to make yourself more. That's the way you need to be. And your leaders want that because it shows that they have the ability to, I have value. This is what I'm doing. I have I have greater and greater responsibility. Now, some people get to a point, I don't want any more responsibility. That's fine. They can still grow that job. They've done a job for a couple of years, and and it's like, okay, we're going to pass it on to somebody else. Why don't you be their mentor? That's a growth. Delegate. Oh my gosh, this one convicts me every single time. I am not a very good delegator. Not. I have got to get things done on my timeline. That is a horrible trait, and I know it. And I try desperately to push it aside, but sometimes it's hard. You got to watch your level here for responsiveness, and you got your volunteers for burnout and stress. A lot of people just don't say no. Some people never say yes, but some people never say no. And next thing you know, they're wearing 3 hats, 3 jobs in your pack, and all of a sudden something happens. Their mom gets sick and they gotta go visit their mom. Uh-oh. Well, they did this, this, and this. Who's gonna do it now? I don't know. Imagine having a cub master and no assistant cub master. It's pack meeting, and the cub master's got the flu. Who's got it? Who's got the ball? These are, So you've got to be able to work about delegation, have people understand what's going on. You gotta trust them. And they, just like you want to be trusted. Give me the job. Now leave me alone. Let me go do it. If it's highly complex, sure, we'll talk as we go along at different mileposts, but I don't need to be told every step of the way. Working people into being mentors is a good thing, a very good thing. Your volunteers will not always say it's too much. You need to be able to adjust and see, and be able to see, this may be a little bit more. Let me see if I can find some help. All right, but also with delegation, it's very tempting to over-delegate. Okay, we're going to pass out, put together a pack calendar. I would like for you to do the copies, you do the collation, and you do the passing out. Really, there's no value there. I mean, all of a sudden I've made 3 people busy on something that 1 person can do, that and a copier. Let's face it, that's not a job that needed to be delegated. So it's about being challenging. And you need to be familiar with what they have to do. If I've never heard of what popcorn kernel is required, and I give you the job of popcorn kernel, I have done you no service. Because I can't be there to answer any questions. I don't know when you need help. I know nothing about the job. And when you come to me with any issues, I got nothing. So you need to at least know the details. Consultants. People don't always want to have the job for a long time. If they do, you help you out with something, they can always be there. They're always there to help out, to give their experience. Lots of people have done things in their private lives. There are tons and tons of things that they know about. Look for these capabilities inside your pack for consultants. Because volunteer experience is like work experience. Okay? Act now. It is very, very, very tempting we put together all these plans and everything. Yeah, we'll start that in a couple weeks. Is there a reason why you're waiting a couple weeks? Wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit more of an elongated schedule? Unless there's some type of prereq that says you can't start that right this minute. Is there a reason you're not? Because life is busy. Really busy. And next thing you know, you got something at work, something in the family, the kids have a recital, there's something going, blah, 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 blah. I got no time. Well, you knew about it 2 weeks ago. Yeah, well, we didn't start till yesterday. Well, that's not good. Identify your volunteers as soon as possible and ask for the sale. Here's what I mean on that. If I stand in front of the group and go, hey, I need somebody to be our outdoor coordinator. Crickets, 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 crickets. I got nothing. If I'm incredibly lucky, maybe one of you will come to me after me and go, you don't have anybody else, I can do that, I can do that, yeah. And that's if I'm lucky. But more likely, someone will say, I'm busy, someone else has got it. Now, if I or another small committee has gone together, okay, of our pack, who is the best one as far as quiz? So-and-so, so-and-so. Okay, of those three, who's number one? Got it. I go to number one, I go, leadership believes that you have the greatest possibility of doing this. We really think that you're going to be very successful at this. Can we have you do the outdoor coordination? 9 times out of 10, the person says yes. Because number one, you've shown the forethought to weigh all things, and they realize that they're being shown a level of respect in the fact that they believe in me. Number two, most people want to be asked, specifically, not the global thing. And number three, they also, you put together an argument to where they see the need. They understand the scope, and they understand the time commitment. That's why you get volunteers that way. Group requests never work. But you got to do those way in advance, because it takes time to start thinking through, I need this volunteer, which means I need to choose who my person is, and then I have to have time to ask them, get them in place, because they need to check with their significant other too, because if their wife or husband says no, well that's bad. That's bad, that's kiss of death. And so you get all these time frames. So I got to be timely. I've got to do these things soon. Act. If I wait too long, I'm not going to make it happen. Warriors. You have any warriors in the pack? Everybody has warriors. Sometimes I'm a warrior. Very rarely, but sometimes. Warriors are ones who just, everything has got, this is not going to work because of this, or there's always something that, and these folks are not, it's not as if they are not valuable. They're incredibly valuable people. But you need to manage that. You need to manage their worry. And what that means is you need to provide them jobs that have very well-defined tasks that they have control over, not in coordinating with a lot of people, because warriors typically don't like, oh, well, I don't know if so-and-so is going to do what they need. Okay, can you control so-and-so? No. Then why are you worrying about it? Let's, find them something they can do and minimize that, and their successes of those will move them towards additional successes. They have great value. You just need to make sure that those warriors are not put on tasks that are really open-ended, and then their worry tends to take tons and tons of time of discussing in groups on why this is not going to work. There's value into saying, that won't work because of this. Well, we probably shouldn't teach the boys to use axes and hatchets because they're too young. Okay, that's not a worry. That's a legitimate concern. But if I talk about the fact, well, you know what? We're not going to be able to, probably if we do the Pinewood Derby then, we'll probably have some parents that are going to try to change the rules. What? Why are we going in that direction? Was that necessary? Find them a task that's within their ability, and they'll do a great job. They also you need to watch them and help them grow in proficiency. By growing proficiency, become less warriors. They actually want, success to get success. Get their input. They're valuable. Don't sideline them just because they naturally worry about things. There are always people who worry. It's just the nature of things. But their ability, and notice this part, ask them informally for suggestions on important topics. It shows that you value them, but also it sort of minimizes the amount of the worry talk in an open group. Doesn't mean that you're sidelining them and you don't value them. You do. But you also recognize up front that sometimes when they're involved in the planning process of a larger, more vague task, that they sideline and derail conversations. Thank yous. Okay. I'm hoping that you guys are providing thank yous all the time. I'm hoping that people are thanking you all the time for what you do. Other leaders, other parents, your son, maybe not your son, yeah, maybe not. The other boys in the pack, because they should be. The key here is that we are demonstrating for the boys what it means to say thank you. It is very important to do so. Just like when my mom would, harp on me about writing thank you notes for every birthday gift, and I'm like, I don't want a thank you gift again. She was teaching me the value of thank yous. It's important to do. Now, some people don't want to be thanked in front of the pack. That's a fact. But you need to make sure that you're thanking them in front of their family. You know, not just a personal, you know, give a thank you of like them and their boy, them and their wife, husband, whatever. And you're thanking them because it's important that you are giving that, and that adds to, okay, I feel good about what's happening. You know, a personal thank you, just an A to B conversation is good. Don't get me wrong. Don't ignore those. But if you have the opportunity to bring in the family, it's so much better. The key here is make it personal. If we just had Scouting for Food and you just, you know, you provided the trailer, and I can say, hey, we'd like to thank Mr. Smith for bringing the trailer that really helped out the Scouting for Food. Okay, that's a pretty good thank you. But I can be a little bit more. I can give a little more. I can say, you know, I'd like to thank Mr. Smith for bringing it. I'd like everyone to remember. Maybe most of you guys don't remember, but 8 years ago, we used to put all the food in the cars. It used to take us 14 cars, and we used to have to drive to here and over here, and it was all this kind of stuff. We had the caravan. It was really a lot of work. I tell you what, Mr. Smith just saved us at least an hour of all our time, and that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, that thank you was bam. I mean, that was a big hit of a thank you, and that's what you want to do. You want to prove to them you know the details, you know the value, and you appreciate the value. That's the way all things should be. You know, just a hey, thank you doesn't cut it. You know, blue and gold, hey, so and so coordinated this. It takes, you know, X amount of hours to coordinate this, and you know they also got the caterer, and they did this, and they did this, and you know we've had great food because of them. And you're detailing it. You're giving them a sense, and it only takes them a few more seconds to give them that thank you. It's a big deal. What else can you do? Do you guys have a newsletter? Yeah. Thank your volunteers in the newsletter. Put it in words. Words are really powerful. Anybody ever send a letter of commendation to their employer? This is scouting. What's that have to do about their job? Are you kidding me? It's good stuff. Especially, you know, if it's showing the amazing sense of skills that they already use in their job. Our pack benefited from so-and-so's ability to coordinate X amount of adults, X amount of kids, and do the following things. Bam, 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 bam. That's a good thing. Praise in front of others. Maybe a volunteer of the month. But if you're going to do a volunteer of the month, it needs to be valuable, and the fact is not just, hey, so-and-so's a volunteer of the month, then we're done. You need to really say why and give them more attention to that. Cards, special occasions, annual ceremonies that are nothing more than recognizing volunteers. It's a tertiary thing we're doing. Hey, here's the boys' awards, and we're going to go camping next week. Oh, and by the way, I'd like to thank so-and-so. No, it should be out there. An out of the ordinary thank you goes a long, long, long way in motivation. It recharges, puts more gas in the tank. Okay, now Boy Scouts obviously has some too. Knots. It is not the responsibility of one person in the pack to maintain that. It's good for one person to coordinate it, usually your advancement chair, but anybody can turn it in. You know, anybody you know that's doing a great job, it is a wonderful opportunity, even if they don't wear a single knot on their uniform, even if that's not their thing, that's not their gig. It doesn't matter. The fact that you bring them up front, here's a certificate, here's a knot, and here's, boys, we believe that this adult needs to be recognized because of all these actions. It's the same thing as when the boy gets a patch or a badge or a belt loop. It's that same thing. They have earned this, and we want to make sure we recognize them. Yeah, they may not put on their uniform, that's fine. You know, look for other opportunities. The district dinner. The district dinner has a, each pack or unit can volunteer a volunteer of the year type thing. Maybe your pack will sponsor them to go to dinner, and they get recognized there. Sometimes that's like $15 or $20. I mean, big deal. And then there's also these silly things. Oh, it's more trash. It's not trash. You make a big deal about it. The boys think it's cool. You get to pull people up front. Like, yeah, this is a very simple one. Yeah, it is a wooden spoon that's $1.50 that you paint gold and put a blue ribbon on it. But if it becomes the tradition of your pack to where you make sure that the person who did all the coordination of the blue and gold gets this coveted spoon, and you talk about it and you're talking about all the things that they did, thank you so much. Whether they keep it forever or not, it's immaterial. It's something the boys see and like, oh yeah, that's saying thank you. Bright Idea Award. I've seen 1,000 of different crazy ones. You know, there's the Band-Aid award, where and where it's a plaque with a Band-Aid on it, where this is always the person who keeps us together, to stops all our problems. The Rubber Band Award. We've got this, you name it. I've seen dozens and dozens, and maybe just create something of your own, something that becomes the culture of your pack, something that means something to you. And in the future, 5, 10 years down the line, why do we have this? I don't know, but this is a great award, and everybody, this tells people why we appreciate it. It's how traditions start a long time. The volunteer son will love this. When they see mom or dad, or both, up front being recognized by the leadership and being thanked, the boy, it's like he has a spotlight in him. His face is lit up. It's like, that's my mom and dad. They're almost more proud than when they get a badge. Because mom and dad, they don't get to see mom and dad being recognized very often. This is the kind of thing they like to see. So, definitely take that opportunity. Have fun. If you are not having fun as a leader, it shows. It shows to your other leaders, and it certainly shows to the boys. And if the boys don't think you're having fun, it dampens their fun. You can be put on the best program ever. They are very aware of that. And typically, the longer you are not having fun, the less pizzazz, energy, planning, everything you're doing starts to go down. And the program slowly goes down to mediocrity. That's just the way it is. Well, beware. Are your volunteers spending so much time running the pack they don't have time with their son? My wife's biggest complaint for numerous years is when I took over at Cub Master, I had to take care of the 35 boys. Meanwhile, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with my one boy. My boy, the one that went home with me. She's right. I had to make a point of making sure that I was spending time doing things with him. Because that is truly what you've done. You're a parent, first and foremost. None of us are professional scouters. We're not out there getting paid. It's not our job to get paid attention to other people's boys. We're doing it because we want to, but we're also doing it because we want our son to be, really have an amazing time. Sometimes you got to re-energize them too. Give them a different opportunity, something new, something to work on, to energize their mind, something new to think about. Get them out of there. Oh well, it's another den meeting. I'm going to do this and do this and do this. As a Cub Master, it's really easy to get into a rut. You put together 12 programs. Next year you're in those 12 programs again. Hey, it's been a year. They won't remember. Seriously, kids remember everything. Your parents do too. Oh yeah, here we go. I mean, the only exception is that take out the trash game. That's every March. The boys demand that. That's one that we must have. Matter of fact, they even tell me beforehand, next month, take out the garbage, right? Yeah. Yeah. And they know that one's coming, so I can't. But otherwise, I don't want to do the same thing every time. Oh, yeah, I've seen this before. I mean, I can be as zany and crazy as you want, but it's the same thing every time. It doesn't help. All right, so what's your key takeaways here? The volunteer needs to make sure, the volunteer absolutely needs to feel appreciated. If your volunteer does not feel appreciated, over time, their energy level goes down. It's just human nature. There's no way around it. They can be motivated internally to put on the best program at all, but ultimately, if they just don't feel appreciated and don't feel like they're making a difference, it's just harder. No, I've got this other thing going on, and I need to fix some things at the house, and we got to plan our vacation, and this and that. Life just overwhelms them. They need to feel motivated, appreciated, making a difference. They need to have a challenge. Part of the fun of being a den leader is that every year the challenge is different. All the requirements going on are different. So it's one of those situations where, as the tiger den leader goes on, as the tiger den leader goes along, and then the wolf, and then the bear, and the weeblo, each year you're learning new stuff. So it's slightly different. But ultimately, you're still putting on den meetings which are very, very the same. So you still need to challenge yourself along the way. How can I try something different? How can I get the boys to try something different? How can I lead them and give them additional leadership opportunities? Give them the ability to control more of the program. Let them be the ones, and I just guide them along the way. There's opportunities. And they need to feel the work's important. Okay? Every single job including the people who are in jobs right now, you should try to define the time limit on that job. What if I want them to do a longer nap? Give them a time limit. And if they enjoy what they're doing, they'll say, you know what, I'd love to do that for another year. Knowing that most people burn out of Cub Scouting and Boy Scouting leadership because they don't feel that they can put it down. Gosh, it would be really nice to do something else. Who's going to step up? And they felt honor bound to keep going and never put it down to the point where it becomes a really horrible thing for them, almost like a blister that's on their foot. It's that kind of thing. If they have a timeline on it and they know that succession planning is going on, they can always say, you know what, I love being Cub Master. I want to do it another year. And the pack's like, yeah, hopefully. If not, well, maybe, well, no, we have another plan for you. I mean, maybe. But if they never feel they can put it down, like right now, my pack, unfortunately, does not have a succession plan for me. I've given them a deadline date. This is when it's going to be. Make plans. And I did that on purpose. I love being a Cub Master. It is a ton of fun. I absolutely, it's the best thing ever. But I cannot be the Cub Master for this pack for 10 years. I mean, I've got another boy that's going to be starting next year. And I've already been 5. I cannot do yet another 5 years. And someone else needs to step up and let's have a new blood, new energy, new something going on. And I'll be happy to be a den leader, or I'll be assistant Cub Master, or I'll be the guy who's always bad things are happening to because of the skits. That's fine. Whatever it is. I mean, I love being a big kid. But having that time limit is important. And being able for that person to put it down without any regrets and without feeling bad about it and feeling that they're leaving the pack in the lurch is a big thing. And that's what really weighs on people's souls. Because most scout leaders are incredibly concerned with being there to help. They really want, they're honor bound, they really want to help, and they don't want to leave anybody behind or put them in a bad shape. So, which is good. That's the kind of thing we want, but you need to give them that out too. Support by training. Send your leaders to training, you go to training. There are tons of opportunities to these kind of things. Wood badge is another one. If you're fully trained as a Cub Scout leader, which is really easy at Cub Scout, that's only youth protection training and your Cub Scout leader specific online, you're eligible for wood badge. And that is a 2-weekend thing. It really allows you to learn a lot of skills like communication, managing conflict, team building, project management. These are really fun. It's a fun course. It's an incredible course. It's like, some of the best training I've ever taken. Yeah, but you want yourself and your other leaders to have training because then they feel confident in what they're doing. There's nothing worse than having a job where, here, I need you to do this. How do I do it? I don't know. Good luck. Yes?
That's I think my biggest problem area is motivating the other leaders to want to go to training. I've got 2 here today actually, and I'm over the moon with that. But most of them I can't get them to do powwow, University of Scouting. I can't get them to go to round table for an hour. That's my challenge.
No, I can understand that. And what you need to do, most people's, what I find the best way to do that is how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And so something like that is if maybe I take a round table and I break it into small pieces, and just if it ends up not being a training, so to speak, it's more of it's part of your committee meeting or your leaders meeting. And like we do with the boys, we make it a game of a purpose and we trick them into learning. So, and that's the way it is. You take small pieces and hopefully over time, they're starting to see the value. At the very least, you're getting them with the proper baseline. There are some people who just absolutely believe either A, they don't need it, B, they don't have time for it, or C, they just don't care. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
But hopefully, if you're providing enough little crumbs and little hors d'oeuvres of this thing around, you're going to get in their system enough to where they're going to put on a good program. Because the key here is putting on a great program for your boys. And I'm with you. I'm a roundtable commissioner, and yeah, there are some units who never send anybody ever. And I'm just like, So I videotape them and I put them online and I send them out and like, you can sit home and you can be drinking a beer and watching a round table if that's what you need to be. That's fine. I just want you to know about what's going on, understand what, and then incorporate it in your program. If you don't want to get in the car and drive there, that's okay. I'd love to see you. But that's okay. Because some people you're just never going to do. And so I'm going to provide them as many of these wonderful little tidbits. Here, have a bite of that. That'll work. You know, and you just move along with that. But by doing that and showing them that, you know, opportunities to how you want to work them into outgrowing their job and taking on more responsibility, most people realize, I don't know how exactly to do that. And so, out of self-preservation, they'll start eating a few more things. All the time. Gosh, the word all is scary. The word all, it just sounds like, oh my, so much work. But ultimately, we have to focus on these all the time. It sounds so exhausting. It's like, you know, like white noise all the time. Yeah, it is, but you know, most of these things become second nature to you. At least I hope so. Communication is a habit. Once you're in that habit, communication is your second nature. It's what you do. You know, I hope honesty is already part of your habit. You know, we're teaching boys, you know, to be men of character, and hopefully honesty right there at the top. But sometimes the honesty part goes beyond that, and sometimes it's hard to have a real conversation with somebody like, you know, we need to work on this. This is happening. And some people, ultimately, the more trust and friendship you have between different people, the more that feedback is acceptable. In Road Badge, we say feedback is a gift, and it really is. And you've got to make yourself always available and always open to receive feedback. And the more you do that, the more it encourages other people to do the same, because there's a level of trust of where I'm not going to come and we're not going to sit here and I'm not going to stab you with something. This is just honest conversation, and we're both going to be better for it. So that takes time, and that comes from heart connections. Servant leadership, that's what we want our boys to emulate. So that's what we want to show all the time. And that servant leadership also applies to other leaders. Hey, I see you need help with this. Let me help. Here's what I can do. Or, you know, I did this before. Here's what I have. You can use it or not. That's why, you know, whatever you need. You know, but you know, you're providing these extra assets and such. When you go to roundtable or to training like this, taking back what you learned and providing to all your other leaders as, you know, just casual reading material or whatever, that's also part of servant leadership, because you're providing them tools to make their job better. And you save them time, because they didn't come out to powwow, you know, even though they missed all the fun. You know, and then ultimately gratitude, true gratitude. Thank yous with specifics, taking the time, and, you know, making sure that they truly understand that without them, the pack doesn't run. You know, the Cub Scout makes the pack go. Well, the leaders make the pack go too. You know, and so it's important for them to understand that. All right. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Gosh, we hear that all the time, man. I won't hit that too many more times, but communicate. Beware of your volunteers' motivation. Know what their needs are. Understand what their limitations are. Not necessarily skills, but time. That's your biggest one. Understand what their limitations of time are. If you have someone else who is a parent of several kids and they're involved with PTA and they also coach their son's baseball team, okay, well, that tells you how much time you got from them. But that doesn't mean they can't help. Maybe what they do is they provide a couple hours per month. They don't necessarily are putting on a brown shirt to help us out on a DIN meeting every week. Maybe it's as simple as the fact that, hey, you know what? They also have a hobby of amateur radio. Would you like to do like a weekend, a couple hour thing and show the boys how to do amateur radio? Yeah, I can do that. Perfect. I just got 2 hours for you to help, and you know, they're going to enjoy being able to talk about what they really love doing. The boys learn something great, and who knows, they may get addicted to, ooh, that was really good, I could do this. You never know. Be clear. Be clear with responsibilities, expectations, feedback. There's no good giving feedback if the feedback is vague, like, yeah, we need to change some things. Wow, that was great. Now all I've done is create a misunderstanding between us, which is going to fester, because people always put the most positive spin on stuff like that, right? It's all unicorns and puppies and rainbows. Yeah, we're good. You know, it's, you know, creatures that grow horns, and, you know, it's a horrible thing. You know, think early and often. Be genuine. Leverage experience. Not only yours, but your leaders and your other families. There's a wealth of backgrounds and experiences out there. That doesn't mean that they want to sign up for a big long-term thing, but, you know, gathering just a little bit of experience from them treats the pack well. It grows. It's like fertilizer for it. And everybody has their time commitments. They always do. I've never met a single Cub Scout leader who doesn't do at least 10 other things, because that's who they are. They're the volunteers. They're the 20% that does the 80%. They jump in there going, I can do it. Pick me, pick me. Yeah, my wife's like, you need to stop. Well, I can't stop. That's not, it's like a sickness. And you know, she's like, oh, you're gonna spend Saturdays teaching? Yes, and I love it. It's great. Okay. You know, but being able to understand and being able to help them out and help them juggle that without feeling stressed or feeling bad about not getting something done, that is truly a gift. And that's the big thing. Have fun. Don't stress. The last thing, I do have a slide that I want to put in there is too, when you're getting a volunteer, it is absolutely okay to tell that volunteer that that's not, you know, hey, I want to do it then later. You know what I really need you to do is this. I think it would be great for you if you could be, you know, if you could be the unit secretary, or maybe you coordinate our service projects or whatever. Because you should be able to identify what their skill set actually is good at. Just because somebody says they want to come up and volunteer doesn't mean you sign them up and immediately put them in a position. You want to make sure that they're going to succeed in that position. That is the truest form of true respect you can give somebody. If a person comes up who doesn't do well about speaking in front of crowds and says they want to be Cub Master, the worst thing you can do is say, sure, thank you. Well, great, we need a Cub Master. That doesn't do them any good, doesn't do you any good. So give those opportunities to figure that out. So. All right, it's time for you guys to head to lunch. Have a great rest of your day. Yes?
Hey, signed up.